As we continue our journey of curiosity, let's take a few minutes again to practice together today. This time, let's close our eyes, draw attention within, and use breath awareness to just drop our attention into the body and into our inner world. And today we're going to explore what our inner world is actually made up of. Because we have all these labels for things, thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations. And when we apply those labels in an automatic way, it's easy to not notice what's actually happening inside or what the nature of our inner experience is. So that's what we're going to explore today. So as breath comes and goes, just take a minute to look around your inner world as if you'd never been there before. As if this was one of those old movies where they walk into the empty house by the side of the road and they start poking around with a torch to see what's in there. What is this place? And what's inside? So just breathe and look. What do you see inside? And when you don't label what you see, when you just experience it, just watch it, what is this inner world of ours made up of? Well, when we look closely, we can clearly see a couple of things. The first thing we can't actually see is that there's vast empty space inside us. There's this vast emptiness. And we know that there's this emptiness because everything that we experience, be it an emotion, a thought, a sound, arises within this empty space. You know, if there was no silence, you wouldn't be able to have sound. Without emptiness inside, there would be nothing, no way to define the things that arise. There would just be a solid wall of energy. So we can see when we look. If we notice what's around those phenomena that arise. So if you have a pain in your shoulder, for example, if you pay attention to that pain And then notice what that pain is arising in. Notice the empty space that's around it and behind it. That's what I'm talking about. You can't see it because it's empty, but you can sense it. The second thing that we notice, which is normally what takes up all of our attention, and please continue to breathe and look as you listen, is that there are objects arising within the space. And the third thing that we can notice that's really, really interesting when you look deeply at it is that there's a particular class of objects that we call thoughts. And when those thoughts arise, they describe the nature and meaning of the other objects. So when an emotion comes, a thought comes and describes it as anger or sadness. Or when a pain comes, a thought arises and says, my shoulder hurts. And out of that description, our experience of the world arises. So before we say, my shoulder hurts, there is just a sensation arising in space. After the thought arises and we believe it, then all of a sudden it moves to, I have shoulder pain. And then the stories run on from there. So perhaps one of the strangest things you can notice is that without a story, the world as you know it doesn't exist. And many masters have said this. And when I heard this myself, I thought it meant that what I see and hear isn't real. And that might be the case, but I haven't found that to be true as yet. But what I realized as I looked more and more deeply was that what I think of as my world is actually just arising from that description. What I think of when I picture where my life is at and what's going to happen next and what happened before, it's all made up of story. And without that story taking over, there's no way of knowing who I am, what I am, or what any of this means. There are just sights and sounds. So as we look inside, it's important that we bring this level of curiosity, that we're not just having a poke around, where we're looking directly the eyes of a scientist and questioning absolutely everything to see what's true for us. And in that deep questioning, many things will start to unravel that you never knew were even untrue or unprovable, but which have been getting in the way of your happiness. So please take a few minutes now to sit and look a little longer, and then take some time to complete today's written reflection. And tomorrow we'll join together again to continue to look deeper and deeper into this experience that we call life.